You're not invited. 3 simple words that crushed my throat right there on the frozen sidewalk. The glittering gala invitation in my purse now felt like a cruel joke. Behind those glass doors, the room pulsed with clinking champagne flutes, smooth jazz, and laughter dripping with privilege. I stood outside, my feet numb in designer heels, watching the person who'd stolen my entire year's work sweep past me on a red carpet welcome. One phone vibration later, I hit send, and the wheels of destruction began to turn. My name is Claire Donovan, and until tonight, I believed hard work actually meant something at Halberd Global Logistics. The December wind cut through my coat like accusations as I stood outside the Ritz-Carlton, watching my colleagues disappear through revolving doors into warmth I wasn't allowed to touch. I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're not on the list. The clipboard-wielding event coordinator didn't even pretend to look sympathetic. Her perfectly manicured finger traced down the names again. Theatrical and unnecessary. We both knew I wasn't there. There must be a mistake. I'm Claire Donovan, Senior Data Strategy Analyst. I've been with Halberd for 8 years. My voice came out steadier than my hands felt, clutching the invitation I'd received just last week. I understand, but without your name on the list, Claire. That voice. Honey-sweet venom. I turned to find Samantha Rhodes gliding toward us in a midnight blue gown that probably cost more than my monthly rent. 6 months ago, she was fetching my coffee as an intern. Tonight, she wore confidence like designer perfume. Oh, what a shame about the mix-up, she cooed, not even trying to hide her smirk. These things happen with restructuring. She lingered on the word like she was savoring wine. I'm sure it's just an administrative error. The event coordinator's expression shifted, suddenly deferential. Ms. Rhodes, please, right this way. Mr. Hale is expecting you at the executive table. Executive table. The words hit harder than the wind. That was my data she'd be discussing, my algorithms. My solutions that saved Halberd $3 million last quarter alone. Enjoy your evening, Claire, Samantha said, her heels clicking against marble as she entered my world without me. I'll be sure to mention your contributions. I stood there, snow beginning to dust my shoulders, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows as my professional life unfolded without me. Inside, warm golden light bathed executives and senior staff. Martin Hale, our new vice president, raised a glass. Samantha stood beside him, gesturing animatedly with hands that had never built a single predictive model, never spent 18-hour days debugging code, never salvaged a client relationship with a brilliant logistics solution delivered at 3 a.m. My phone buzzed. A text from Liam Torres, who should have been inside but wasn't. They locked me out too. Isabella's here with me. We're at Grady's bar. Come. I took one last look at the gala, at the celebration of a year where I'd generated more value than any analyst in company history. The security guard inside was now watching me, hand moving to his earpiece. The message was clear: move along. My heels clicked against pavement as I walked away, each step echoing in the empty street. But this wasn't retreat. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, loaded with months of documentation, ready to deploy. They thought they were excluding me from one party. They had no idea they'd just lit the fuse on their own demolition. 6 months earlier, I'd still believed in meritocracy. Funny how naive smart people can be. I'd joined Halberd straight from my master's program. No Ivy League pedigree, no uncle on the board. Just a girl from Ohio with a gift for seeing patterns in data that others missed. For 7 years, that had been enough. My algorithms revolutionized our route optimization, cutting delivery times by 23%. My predictive models saved us from a supply chain disaster during the port strikes. Quarter after quarter. My name appeared in efficiency reports, always tied to 7-figure savings. Then, Martin Hale arrived. Culture change, he'd announced at his first all-hands meeting, his smile as sharp as his Armani suit. We need to think less like engineers and more like influencers. Visibility matters. Relationships matter. I'd actually laughed at that. thinking it was corporate speak for better communication. I didn't realize he meant replacing competence with cocktail conversation. Samantha appeared 2 weeks later, assigned as my development opportunity. Fresh from Wharton. She had the kind of polish that came from never having to prove anything. I was supposed to mentor her in data analysis, show her the ropes. "This is fascinating," she'd gushed during our first session, watching me build a complex supply chain model. "How do you even think of these connections?" I'd been flattered by her attention, her endless questions. I showed her everything, my methods, my shortcuts, the proprietary algorithms I developed on my own time. She took notes in a leather-bound journal, nodding eagerly as I explained how I'd identified inefficiencies that others had missed for years. The first sign came 3 weeks later. In the quarterly strategy meeting, Martin presented fresh insights from our rising talent. Samantha stood up, connected her laptop, and presented my exact analysis of our Pacific Northwest distribution problems. My solution, my calculations, down to the decimal points. "Interesting approach, Samantha." Martin had beamed. "This kind of innovative thinking is exactly what we need." I'd sat there, frozen, waiting for her to credit me. She never did. "Great job on mentoring," my direct supervisor, Patricia, told me later. "Really generous of you to let Samantha shine." Let her? The words stuck in my throat, but I stayed quiet. One incident, a misunderstanding, except it wasn't. Week by week, my ideas sprouted from Samantha's presentations. The dynamic pricing model I'd spent 3 months perfecting became her flash of insight during a board meeting. The customer segmentation analysis that identified our most profitable routes was suddenly her fresh perspective on traditional logistics. Meanwhile, my meeting invitations started disappearing. "We're streamlining," Patricia explained when I asked why I wasn't included in the algorithm review I'd initiated. "Samantha can brief you later." But Samantha's briefings were vague, always missing crucial details. I started finding errors in implementation, my solutions, filtered through her understanding, distorted just enough to reduce their effectiveness. When I tried to correct them, I was told I was being territorial and not a team player. The final insult came when I discovered she'd been given access to my private development server, the one where I tested new models. It confirmed the authorization came from Martin himself. "For knowledge transfer," the ticket said. That night, I sat in my apartment, laptop open, watching login records. Samantha's credentials accessing my files at 11 p.m., downloading everything, years of innovation, copied with a few keystrokes. I started documenting then, screenshots, emails, file histories with timestamps. Every presentation where my work appeared under her name. Every meeting I was excluded from. Every client who complimented Samantha on solutions she couldn't even explain when pressed for details. The pattern was clear. They weren't just stealing my work. They were erasing me from it, making me invisible while building Samantha's reputation on my foundation. But they'd made one mistake. They'd forgotten that data analysts don't just analyze, we archive, we back up, we create audit trails. And I'd been very, very thorough. Grady's bar was everything the Ritz-Carlton wasn't: dim, unpretentious, and full of people who actually worked for a living. I found Liam Torres and Isabella Grant in a corner booth, both nursing whiskeys like medicine for corporate wounds. "Claire," Isabella stood, pulling me into a hug that surprised us both. We'd been friendly colleagues, nothing more, but exile makes family of strangers. "They locked you out too." "Not locked out," Liam corrected, his usual precision intact despite the anger in his eyes. "Erased. My entire team was dissolved yesterday. 7 years building the best data infrastructure in logistics, and they're outsourcing it to a firm Martin has stakes in." Isabella laughed bitterly. "International client strategy is being reimagined. Apparently, my decade of relationships in Asia and Europe isn't as valuable as the 25-year-old nephew of a board member who spent a semester in London." We sat there, 3 ghosts of Halberd's meritocracy, comparing notes. The pattern was systematic. Every department head who'd risen through talent rather than connections was being sidelines, replaced, or eliminated. Their work appropriated, their contributions minimized, their existence professionally assassinated. "I've been documenting everything," I said quietly, pulling out my phone. 6 months of evidence, screenshots, emails, proof of stolen work. Liam leaned forward. "I've been doing the same. I have records of every system architecture, every innovation my team created, all with timestamps proving origination. Client correspondence," Isabella added, "years of it, showing who really built these relationships, who solved the problems, who kept accounts worth hundreds of millions." We looked at each other, understanding crystallizing without words. "They think they've won," I said. "But they don't realize we are Halbert's competitive advantage. Without us, they're just empty suits selling nothing," Liam finished. That night, we didn't just commiserate, we planned. If Halbert wanted to play politics over performance, we'd show them what happened when the performers walked away. But we wouldn't just leave, we'd compete. Isabella had connections. Real ones, built on trust and delivered results. Liam had technical brilliance that could rebuild better systems from scratch. And I had the algorithms, the analytical frameworks that had saved Halbert millions. "North Current Analytics," Isabella proposed, sketching on a napkin. "We do what we've always done, but for ourselves: transparent pricing, clear attribution, actual meritocracy." "We'd need capital," Liam pointed out. "I have savings," I said. "And more importantly, I have something else." He pulled up my documentation. Proof that Halbert's current leadership is built on stolen IP, proof that would matter to their biggest clients. We spent the next 3 months in secret preparation. Isabella quietly registered the company, using her attorney brother to ensure everything was bulletproof. Liam built our technical infrastructure, better and leaner than anything Halbert had. I refined our service offerings, creating proposals that highlighted exactly what we could do, and subtly emphasizing what Halbert couldn't without us. We recruited quietly, carefully, other discarded talent, people pushed out for being too good at their jobs and too bad at politics. Patricia's assistant, who'd watched her boss get demoted for defending her team. The lead developer who'd been told his innovations were too complex for the new streamlined approach. By December, we were ready. North Current existed in everything but public announcement. We had systems, staff, and solutions. All we needed was the right moment to launch. The Gala invitation had actually made me laugh when it arrived. Did they think I was stupid? That I'd show up gratefully to watch them celebrate with my stolen success? But then I realized this was the moment. While they were toasting their hollow victory, I'd be pulling the foundation out from under them. The documentation was organized, devastating, and unimpeachable. Email threads showing Samantha requesting access to my private servers. Her presentation side by side with my original work. Timestamps proving precedence. Martin's messages explicitly instructing the IT department to give her access to proprietary systems. Client complaints about the declining quality of solutions since the restructuring. Every major client contact was queued in my email, ready to receive a professional, carefully worded message that would introduce North Current Analytics and include just enough evidence to raise serious questions about Halbert's current leadership. "Are you sure about this?" Liam had asked that afternoon. "Once you hit send, there's no going back." I'd thought about it, about the 7 years I'd given Halbert, about the innovations they'd stolen, about the future they'd tried to deny me. "They already burned the bridge," I'd told him. "I'm just lighting up the wreckage so everyone can see it." The snow fell heavier now, transforming downtown into something almost beautiful. I stood outside the Ritz-Carlton for another moment, watching my former life play out behind glass. Samantha was laughing at something Martin said, her hand on his arm, perfectly positioned in the spotlight that should have been mine. My phone vibrated. A text from Liam. "Ready?" One word, but it carried 3 months of preparation, years of frustration, and a future we were about to claim. My fingers were steady as I opened my email app. 23 recipients, every major client contact I'd cultivated over 7 years. The ones who knew my voice, who'd called me directly when problems arose, who'd sent thank you notes for solutions that saved their operations. The subject line was simple. A message from Claire Donovan. Important information regarding your Halberd partnership. The email itself was a masterpiece of professional devastation. Dear client name, I hope this message finds you well. After 7 years of serving your logistics needs at Halberd Global, I wanted to personally inform you of significant changes that may affect your service quality. As you may have noticed, recent solutions presented by Halberd's new team have shown declining effectiveness. I've attached documentation that may explain these concerns. Specifically, evidence that current leadership has been presenting recycled and improperly implemented versions of proprietary algorithms without the expertise to optimize them for your specific needs. I'm writing to introduce North Current Analytics, a new firm founded by the core team that originally developed and perfected these solutions. We're offering the same innovative approaches you've come to rely on, but with transparent attribution, direct accountability, and the technical expertise to ensure maximum effectiveness. Attached you'll find a comparative analysis of recent Halberd proposals versus original algorithmic designs, documentation showing the erosion of service quality metrics over the past 6 months, North Current's proposed solutions for your Q1 challenges, with projected 35% improved efficiency. We understand the gravity of changing logistics partners. We're prepared to demonstrate our capabilities immediately, with a risk-free trial that runs parallel to your current systems. The team that saved your Pacific route complications, that prevented the Q3 supply chain collapse, that developed your custom predictive modeling, we're still here, still innovating, just under a new banner. Best regards, Claire Donovan, co-founder, North Current Analytics. My thumb hovered over the send button. Through the window, I could see the presentation screen lighting up. Samantha was about to present her revolutionary distribution model, my work, simplified to the point of mediocrity because she didn't understand the underlying mathematics. I thought about adding the reporters from Logistics Weekly and Supply Chain Digest, the industry journalists who'd quoted me for years, always off the record per Halberd's policy. They were in my contacts, waiting. Another text from Isabella. Board members added to recipient list, their personal emails. Of course, 3 board members had their own companies that relied on logistics optimization. They'd be very interested to know their service provider was hemorrhaging talent and faking expertise. I added them. Then the law firm that specialized in intellectual property and corporate theft, not as a threat, just as a notice of interest. The security guard inside was moving toward the door. Someone must have noticed me still standing there, a ghost at the feast. Time to go. I hit send. The satisfaction was immediate but controlled. No wild euphoria, no vengeful glee, just the clean sensation of setting something right, of releasing truth into a world of carefully constructed lies. As I walked away, my phone began its symphony. Email notifications, read receipts, immediate responses. I didn't check them. Not yet. Let the seeds scatter first. Let them land in fertile ground, in CEOs' inboxes as they wondered why their logistics costs were rising, in board members' phones as they questioned their investment, in journalists' laptops as they sensed a story. By the time I reached Grady's, where Liam and Isabella waited with a bottle of good scotch and 3 laptops ready to handle responses, my phone showed 43 notifications and climbing. Inside the Ritz-Carlton, Samantha would be mid-presentation, unaware that her audience's phones were lighting up with evidence of her fraud. Martin would be schmoozing board members who were reading about his tactical incompetence in real time. Sent, I said simply, sliding into the booth. Liam pulled up our monitoring dashboard. Silverline Freight opened it, so did Global Axis, Metro Partners too. Jesus, Claire, the engagement rate is 91%, Isabella interrupted, staring at her screen. In 12 minutes. We raised our glasses, not in celebration but in acknowledgement. We'd just declared war on a billion-dollar company with nothing but the truth and superior competence. To burning bridges, Liam said. To building better ones, Isabella added. I thought of Samantha in her midnight blue gown, claiming victories she couldn't understand. Martin in his Armani suit, commanding an army of pretenders. To sending the right message, I said. We drank, and my phone kept buzzing, each vibration another crack in Halberd's foundation. By the time I reached my apartment, my phone had become a lightning rod for corporate panic. 67 missed calls. Martin's name appeared 17 times. Samantha, 12, HR, legal. Even Preston Aldridge, the CEO who hadn't acknowledged my existence in 7 years, all suddenly desperate to reach Claire Donovan. I set the phone to silent and opened my laptop. The real story wasn't in their frantic attempts at damage control, it was in the metadata. The digital footprints that would tell me how far the fire had spread. Our tracking system showed everything. The email to Silverline Freight had been opened 14 times. Forwarded to 6 internal addresses, including their entire C-suite. Global Axis had downloaded every attachment within 3 minutes. Metro Partners had already scheduled an emergency board meeting for 7 a.m. tomorrow. I knew because their COO, Jennifer Walsh, had replied asking if we could present at 9. Claire, this is Martin. Call me immediately. His voicemail dripped with barely controlled rage. This is highly unprofessional and potentially illegal. You're in violation of your NDA and... Delete. Hi, Claire. It's Samantha. Her voice had lost its honey coating. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding. We should talk about this like adults. Delete. The only message I saved was from Patricia, my former direct supervisor. Good for you. Burn it all down. Liam texted from his apartment. Local news picked it up. Major shakeup at Halberd Global, trending on LinkedIn. The analytics were beautiful in their devastation. Our hastily built website, North Current Analytics.com, had received 8,000 unique visitors in 2 hours. The documentation I'd shared was being downloaded, screenshot, shared across the industry's shadow network, the back channels where real professionals shared real information. Isabella called. Jennifer Walsh wants to move the meeting to tonight. Can you make it to Silverline's offices by 11 p.m.? 11 p.m. on a Friday night. In the corporate world, that meant DEFCON 1. I'll be there. I changed into my best suit, the one I'd bought for the promotion I never got. My laptop bag contained everything. 3 years of development work. Solutions Halberd claimed they owned but couldn't replicate. Algorithms that would take their new team years to understand, if ever. The Silverline building was lit up like a beacon. Security waved me through. I was expected. The elevator ride to the 40th floor felt like ascending to judgment, but I wasn't the one on trial. Their boardroom was full, not just Jennifer Walsh, but the entire executive team, several board members, and their head legal counsel. On the conference screen, 2 more executives joined from Tokyo. Ms. Donovan. Jennifer stood, extending her hand. We've been trying to reach you for 3 months. That stopped me cold. I'm sorry? We've been requesting updates on the Pacific Optimization Project, specifically, your modifications to handle the port delays. She pulled up emails on her laptop. Every request has been answered by someone named Samantha Rhodes, but the solutions have been inferior, costly. We've lost $2 million in inefficiencies this quarter alone. The head of operations, Marcus Chen, leaned forward. We specifically asked for you. We were told you were unavailable, on special assignment. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I was available. I was locked out. They've been feeding you my old solutions, badly implemented, without understanding the variables need constant adjustment. Show us, Jennifer said simply. Show us what we've been missing. For the next 2 hours, I walked them through everything. Not just the solutions, but the evolution. How each algorithm built on the last. How the variables interconnected. How Samantha's implementations had missed crucial elements that caused cascade failures. This, Marcus pointed at one equation. This is what was wrong with last month's routing. They inverted the weather variable. Error. Because they didn't understand it was interconnected with fuel consumption predictions, I confirmed. It's not just weather, it's weather affecting speed, affecting fuel, affecting cost. Miss one connection. The whole model collapses. Jennifer's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled grimly. Martin Hale, 4th call in an hour. She declined it. Ms. Donovan, Claire, we have a proposition. We're terminating our Halberd contract, effective immediately. We want North Current to take over, starting Monday. The room spun slightly. Silverline was a $100 million account. We'll need guarantees, their legal counsel said. Your team, your algorithms, your availability. No outsourcing, no substitutions. We want the people who actually understand the work. Done. And we want exclusivity on any innovations developed for our supply chain. For Silverline-specific solutions, absolutely. General algorithmic improvements remain ours to deploy elsewhere. Jennifer smiled. You've thought this through. I've had 6 months of being erased to plan it. As we shook hands, sealing a deal that would launch North Current from concept to major player, Jennifer's assistant rushed in. Ma'am, 3 more companies have called. They all want to speak with Ms. Donovan tonight. I looked at my phone. 147 missed calls now. Halberd was hemorrhaging. Each call they made was another confirmation that they'd lost control of the narrative. Tell them we'll schedule meetings tomorrow, Jennifer said. Claire has a company to build. As I left Silverline at 2 a.m., snow still falling, transforming the city into something new. My phone buzzed with one more message, from Preston Aldridge himself. Name your price. I deleted it without reading the rest. They still didn't understand. This was never about money. It was about proving that competence couldn't be stolen, only borrowed. And the loan had just come due. Saturday morning came fast and brutal. 4 hours of sleep, but adrenaline was better than coffee. Our makeshift headquarters, Isabella's downtown loft, had transformed into a war room. 3 laptops, 2 printers, and enough legal pads to document a revolution. Silverline's contract is signed, Isabella announced, pulling pages from the printer. Their legal team worked through the night. We're official. Liam looked up from his screen, eyes wide. Global Axis wants to meet. Today, they're offering to triple what they paid Halberd if we can guarantee seamless transition. Triple? The number should have been staggering. But I was running calculations. We need more people, good ones, fast. Already on it, Isabella said. 7 former Halberd employees reached out overnight. All top performers who got pushed out in the last year, they want in. My phone buzzed. Patricia's name appeared. Turn on Channel 7. The business news segment was running a story. Chaos at Halberd Global as mass client exodus begins. The reporter stood outside Halberd's headquarters, looking serious. Sources indicate that several major clients are reconsidering their contracts after revelations about questionable management practices and potential intellectual property disputes. Potential. Liam snorted. We have receipts. The doorbell rang. Isabella checked the security camera and frowned. Courier. The package was from Halberd's legal department. Cease and desist. Threats of litigation. Claims of stolen property and violated NDAs. I scanned it quickly, then handed it to Isabella's brother, David, who'd been our legal counsel from the start. Garbage, he said after 2 minutes. They're claiming ownership of algorithms you developed before their employment contract was updated to include IP provisions. Your original contract only covers work product developed using company resources. You built these on your own time, your own equipment, and I have the Git repositories to prove it, I added. Personal servers, predating my employment. David smiled. They're scared. This is intimidation, not litigation. By noon, we were in Global Axis's offices. Their CEO, Richard Torres, didn't waste time with pleasantries. Halbert called me 6 times this morning, he said. Offered a 40% discount to retain our contract. Martin Hale personally guaranteed improved service. What did you tell him? Isabella asked. Nothing. I wanted to hear your pitch first. For the next hour, I didn't just present solutions, I presented vision. How logistics could be revolutionized with AI-driven predictive modeling that actually understood variables, not just processed them. How our transparent attribution model meant they'd always know who was handling their account, who to call when problems arose. This morning, I pulled up real-time data. Your Shanghai shipment is running 4 hours behind schedule. Halbert hasn't notified you yet because they don't know. Their system only checks at preset intervals. Ours monitors continuously. Richard leaned back. How do you know about Shanghai? Your tracking numbers are in the quarterly report you published. Public information. But you have to know where to look and how to interpret it. I showed him the analysis. We're not using any inside information. We're just better at using available information. When can you start? Monday. Another handshake. Another $100 million contract. Halbert was bleeding out, and we were catching the flow. As we left Global Axis, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Claire, this is Daniel Foster from the Wall Street Journal. We're running a story on the Halbert situation. Would you care to comment? I looked at Isabella and Liam. We'd agreed, no media until we were stable. No comment at this time, I said. We're focused on serving our clients. I understand, but Ms. Donovan, we've received some interesting documentation about systematic discrimination and IP theft at Halbert. If you change your mind, I'll let you know. Back at the loft, 7 new resumes waited, all stars, all discarded by Martin's regime. I knew them, had worked with most, respected all. We're going to need office space, Liam said. Real offices. Already looking. Isabella pulled up listings. There's a space available in the Meridian building, 3 floors below Halbert. We all looked at her. Too much? She asked. Perfect, I said. My phone buzzed again, another unknown number. This time I let it go to voicemail. The message was short. Claire, this is Samantha. I'm not calling to threaten or negotiate. I'm calling to apologize and to ask. Are you hiring? I know how this looks, but I finally understand what I helped destroy. And I want to learn, really learn, how to build something real. I played it for Isabella and Liam. Absolutely not, Liam said. She's poison. Isabella agreed. I stared at the phone. 6 months ago. Samantha had been eager, bright, full of potential. Martin had corrupted her, turned her into a corporate vampire, but underneath. Not yet. I decided. Maybe never. But people can surprise you. You're too forgiving, Isabella said. No, I'm strategic. Let her twist for a while. See who else jumps ship. The more chaos at Halbert, the easier our rise. By evening, we'd secured 4 more clients, hired 6 developers, and signed a lease for office space that had a direct view of Halbert's boardroom. The war wasn't over, but day 1 was ours. Wednesday arrived with winter rain that turned the city gray. The neutral law offices of Brennan and Associates occupied the top floor of a building that screamed discretion. I arrived 15 minutes early, finding Isabella and Liam already waiting in the lobby. Ready for this? Isabella asked. They're the ones who should be asking that, I replied. The conference room was arranged like a peace treaty negotiation. One side, Preston Aldridge, CEO of Halbert, looking older than his 60 years. Martin Hale, his jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. Samantha Rhodes, pale without her usual confidence. Their legal team, 3 suits with predatory eyes. Our side, Isabella, Liam, myself, and David Grant. Our single lawyer who looked amused by the disparity. Preston spoke first. Ms. Donovan, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I'm here out of courtesy, Mr. Aldridge, nothing more. Martin couldn't contain himself. Courtesy? You destroyed 8 years of relationship building in one night. I revealed 8 years of relationship exploitation, I corrected. There's a difference. Preston raised a hand, silencing Martin. Let's discuss solutions, not grievances. North Current has shown remarkable growth in 5 days. 400% client acquisition from shared clients. Former clients, Isabella interjected. They chose to leave. After being poisoned against us, Martin snarled. After being shown performance metrics. Liam pulled out his tablet. Would you like to see the comparative analysis? Your implementations versus ours? The efficiency gaps are educational. Samantha finally spoke, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. Claire, I need you to understand. I understand perfectly. I cut her off. You understood enough to steal, but not enough to execute. That's not my problem anymore. Preston leaned forward. We're prepared to make a substantial offer. Here it came. The checkbook solution to their self-inflicted crisis. $50 million, he said. For North Current, complete acquisition. You and your team would receive senior positions at Halberd with guaranteed autonomy. Martin would report to you. Martin's face went purple, but he stayed silent. $50 million, I repeated, letting the number hang. For a company that's 5 days old. We're not buying the company, Preston admitted. We're buying the talent back, buying stability. Our stock has dropped 12% since Friday. No. $75 million. No. Name your price. I stood up. Mr. Aldridge, you still don't get it. This isn't about money. You had the talent. You had the innovation. You had people who bled loyalty for your company. And you let Martin here turn it into a country club where merit meant nothing and connections meant everything. That's not... Martin started. October 15th, I interrupted. You promoted Samantha to senior analyst after 3 months. She couldn't even run a basic regression analysis without help. November 3rd, you dissolved Liam's team because they questioned your outsourcing plan. November 28th, you removed Isabella from client meetings because she intimidated your nephew with her competence. Each date hit like a hammer. I'd documented everything. December 1st, you excluded me from the gala celebrating solutions I created, profits I generated, relationships I built. You thought you were punishing me. You were liberating me. Preston's composure cracked. What do you want? Nothing from you. We want to build something better. Something where the best idea wins, not the best connected person. Where attribution is clear and credit is earned. Where someone like Samantha could have actually learned instead of being corrupted into a corporate parasite. Samantha flinched. You're making a mistake, Martin said. We have resources you can't match. We'll bury you in litigation. David finally spoke. No, you won't. Because we have something you need. The truth. Every email, every timestamp. Every piece of evidence showing systematic IP theft and discrimination. The Wall Street Journal is very interested. So is the Department of Labor. And I believe the SEC might want to know about those outsourcing contracts to firms where certain executives have financial interests. Martin went white. Preston stood slowly. I see. You've made your position clear. Crystal, I confirmed. As they filed out, Samantha lingered. The solutions you showed, Silverline, I couldn't have built those in 100 years. No, I agreed. But you could have learned to build something valuable in your own right. You chose the shortcut instead. I know. Martin made it seem so easy, so smart. Play the game, win the prizes. How's that working out? She laughed bitterly. I'm 25 and professionally radioactive. No one will hire someone known for stealing work. I studied her. Broken, maybe, but possibly repairable. Call me in 6 months, I said. Not for a job, for advice. Real advice, not shortcuts. Hope flickered in her eyes before she followed the others out. Isabella waited until the door closed. You're really going to help her? Maybe. People deserve second chances, just not third ones. Liam pulled up his phone. 3 more clients want meetings, and guess what? Halbert's stock just dropped another 4%. We walked out of that sterile conference room into rain that felt like baptism. They'd offered us $75 million to disappear back into their shadow. We were worth so much more in the light. The moment we returned to our new offices, still smelling of fresh paint and possibility, an email was waiting. Global Axis Logistics. My pulse quickened as I opened it. Ms. Donovan, we need to discuss an urgent matter regarding our Pacific Rim operations. Can you meet within the hour? Richard Torres, CEO. This was it. The second largest contract Halbert had, worth nearly $200 million annually. If Global Axis was reaching out now, after we'd already signed them, he wants to expand. Isabella read over my shoulder. He's not just leaving Halbert for logistics, he wants us to handle their entire data infrastructure. Liam whistled low. That's not a client, that's a partnership. 40 minutes later, we sat in Global Axis's boardroom. Richard didn't waste time. Halbert called an emergency meeting with us this morning, he said. Offered us a 60% discount to stay. Martin Hale personally guaranteed he'd oversee our account. My stomach tightened. 60%. They were desperate. But here's the interesting part. Richard continued, sliding a report across the table. We ran an audit on the last 6 months of their service. After you left, our efficiency dropped 34%, costs increased by $4.7 million. Their 60% discount doesn't even cover what their incompetence has already cost us. He leaned back. We don't just want to leave Halbert, we want to make a statement. Global Axis is prepared to publicly announce our partnership with North Current. Full transparency about why we're switching. Performance metrics, cost savings, everything. That would destroy them, Isabella said quietly. They destroyed themselves, Richard replied. We're just documenting it. I thought about Preston's desperate face, Martin's rage, Samantha's broken dreams. Then I thought about every talented person they'd pushed out, every innovation they'd stolen, every career they'd sabotaged for politics. Do it, I said. The press release went live at 4 p.m. By 4:15, Halbert's stock had dropped another 8%. By 5 p.m., 3 more companies had called us. By 6 p.m., my phone showed a message from Preston Aldridge. You win. 2 words that meant nothing. This wasn't about winning, it was about building. That evening, our team, now 15 strong, gathered in our conference room. The space wasn't fancy, but floor-to-ceiling windows offered a perfect view of Halbert's offices 3 floors up. Their lights were still on, probably crisis meetings running into the night. I want to be clear about something, I said, looking at each face. We didn't start this company for revenge. We started it because we believe talent matters more than politics. Innovation matters more than connections. Truth matters more than perception. But revenge felt pretty good, Liam added, earning laughs. It did, I admitted. But that's over now. Now we build. We prove that a company can succeed by doing the opposite of everything Halbert became. We promote based on merit. We credit every contribution. We share success, not hoard it. Isabella raised her coffee mug. To North Current, may we never become what we replaced. To second chances, I added, thinking of Samantha's broken voice, of talented people who'd lost their way in toxic systems. And to building something worth protecting. As we toasted, my laptop chimed. Another email, this time from a company in Singapore I'd never pitched to. They'd heard about us from Global Axis. Wanted to discuss a partnership, then another. A logistics firm in London, another. A supply chain in Toronto. Liam pulled up our analytics dashboard. Claire, look at this. Our website traffic had exploded. 40,000 unique visitors in the last hour. The phone started ringing. Journalists, potential clients, job seekers. The avalanche had begun. I walked to the window, looking up at Halbert's offices. A figure stood at their window, looking down. Even from this distance, I recognized Martin's silhouette. For a moment, our positions were perfectly reversed. Him looking down from a crumbling tower, me looking up from a rising foundation. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Patricia. Just submitted my resignation to Halberd. You hiring managers? Your old boss who should have fought harder for you." I smiled, texting back, "Come by tomorrow. Bring anyone else worth saving." Isabella joined me at the window. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "We didn't destroy Halberd, we just gave it a mirror. They destroyed themselves when they saw the reflection. 6 months ago, they'd locked me out of a gala celebrating stolen achievements. Tonight, I stood in my own company, surrounded by people who'd chosen competence over comfort, merit over manipulation. I opened my laptop and started drafting our mission statement. Not corporate buzzwords, but truth. North Current Analytics, where the best idea wins, period. My phone lit up with one final message of the day. "Samantha. Watching your launch, taking notes. Real ones this time. Thank you for showing me what building something actually looks like." Maybe there was hope for her yet. People could change, companies could evolve, and sometimes, just sometimes, the ones who got pushed out came back to push everything forward. They'd banned me from their gala. So I'd built my own celebration, one where everyone who earned it was invited. The city lights sparkled below, full of companies that would soon know our name. Halberd thought they'd ended my story by shutting me out. They'd only written the first chapter of something much bigger. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. What would you have done in Claire's position? Let me know in the comments.